Welcome to the quarterly video where we will discuss how the finances are within Vattenfall. And especially welcome to you, Anna, Magnus.
Thank you.
It's actually time to have a look at the full year of 2018. So what do you say, Magnus? Are you satisfied so far?
Well, I think it's an interesting year. I think we can say that. I think there's a lot of expectations on the result because of higher prices in the electricity market, specifically in Sweden. But they are actually not filtering through in our system. Even though we have had very good production in both nuclear and hydro for this year, we have more or less a little bit worse result than last year. And the reason is actually that we have hedged, of course, and we do that. We hedge our prices because we want stability over time. And we also had some legacy hedges in the continental that gave us a good result last year, but is not there this year. So that's one of the reasons. We also had a little bit worse result, or quite a lot worse result in heat due to high fuel prices. But we have also had some real good experiences with the production in nuclear above all. So a year with a slightly lower result than last year, but also with some good conditions I can see.
So when we look at the result as such, the profit increased for the full year of 2018, but the underlying operating profit decreased somewhat. What is the reason behind this?
Well, the reason that the underlying profit decreased a bit is threefolded. First of all, it is the challenges that we have in our heat business, mainly due to much tighter clean dark spreads in the German market during this year. But we also have some challenges in our customer and solutions business, especially related to our consumer business in the UK. And finally, we also have the hedging effects that Magnus mentioned in relation to our generation business. So despite a very good year for our wind business and a very good year when it comes to availability in our nuclear business, we have an underlying result that is a bit lower than last year. However, as you pointed out, our net result is slightly better, and that's mainly due to two things. It's a corporate tax effect, but it's also a one-time tax refund that we had in Germany that is quite substantial.
So if we look at 2018 with respect to our strategy and our ambition to become fossil-free within one generation, how do you think we have delivered on that?
On that, I think we really have delivered very well. We won the Hollandse Kust 1 and 2, as you know, the beauty contest for this big wind park in the Netherlands. I'm very proud of that and what the organization has done there. We had the inauguration of the European Offshore Wind Deployment Center, which is called in Aberdeen. Everybody knows about that because it has been in the papers for some while. And that started up in a very good way. And we were also, Nicola Sturgeon, who is the Prime Minister of Scotland, was there. I think that was a very good thing. And then we have also had other increases in Horns Rev 3, which we are constructing right now, which is, of course, very good. And we also took a decision for the Kriegers Flak in the last part of the year. So we are following the strategy, but I think it's also important to see that what we are doing in fossil-free generation when it comes to nuclear and hydro is something where we can really prove that we have had a high availability, and I think that is an integral part of the strategy we have going forward. So a lot of things happening in the right direction, but a slightly lower result for the last year.
One of the challenges maybe coming here that we have stated that we are in need of heavy investments in our grid operations in Sweden, but the regulatory framework is not going in a positive direction maybe. So how do we tackle this?
Well, this is really cumbersome, I think, because as you said, we want and need to invest quite a lot into our distribution business. We increased our investments with 20% in 2018. The new regulation is making it very difficult to find incentives for all those investments needed, both in order to onboard all the renewable capacity that's being built, but also in order to have the infrastructure needed for the city areas that are growing quite a lot. So frankly, I don't see how that's going to match with the new regulation long term. And for us, it's going to imply that we need to look into our investments in the distribution business and lower our ambitions in some areas. And that's really cumbersome.
Magnus, you mentioned the heat business, and it seems like we have some struggles there. The profit dropped compared to 2017. What are the challenges here?
Well, there are challenges in there. Of course, if you compare the result 2017 and 2018, you should also know that we had considerable one-off effects in 2017 that make that extra good. But then we have had also very high fuel prices and high CO2 prices in 2018 that we haven't been able to compensate for. And that is the big difference in the result in between the years. One other thing, of course, is coming up now is not exactly affecting the result for last year, but that's also the divestment or the Hamburg situation where the city of Hamburg is exercising their option. They have the right to buy, and they've taken that right to buy, and that is also, of course, a setback in the sense that we wanted to really to keep Hamburg, and now we just have to make sure that we deal with that in a very good way and look forward to what we can do in all our other places, in Berlin, in Amsterdam, in Sweden, and also where we are also now looking at UK with new possibilities there. So I think we have to work with that now, trying to gain it back. We have significant investments coming up to start in Germany. The Lichterfelde plant should be starting, the gas plant should be starting in 2019. So I think we have reason to believe that things will become better for 2019.
So looking ahead then for 2019, what would be the most important things to focus on from a financial point of view, Anna?
Well, after the very sort of heavy investment year of 2018, as we have communicated earlier, 2019 is sort of the time to really see the results and deliveries of the investments we made, of our existing operations, but also of our new operations and new businesses. So focus on delivering is going to be extremely important this year. It's also going to be important that we succeed in our major outsourcing project, where we are outsourcing our finance, HR, and procurement processes. And also that we succeed with our cost savings program, which is mainly in relation to our staff functions. So to focus on those altogether is going to be really important in order to show an even better result in 2019.
Any final conclusions from your side, Magnus? Well, I think it's important now when we go into 2019 that we look at the things we need to do. And one thing that is important to us is to continue the growth in the charging infrastructure for e-mobility, because we have said that is one of the strategic issues. It's also important because we did have a lower result for customers and solutions in 2018 than the year before, and I think it's important that we come back on a growth track there, where continue the growth track, but also prove that we can get the profits coming back. I think that's very necessary. Apart from that, we have lots of big projects going on, and still to keep the good production up in hydro nuclear is of course very important. But then we come back to these issues that we have the challenge in the heat business as well. And for markets, because you want to cover all of them, I think it's absolutely getting more connections to new wind farms and selling balancing services. That's something that we continue to develop and making PPAs. And then the last part is, of course, the distribution side, where I think we have to mention also the Alfrida situation, where we have had an enormous concentration of work, where we have been able now to solve, so there are no customers without electricity. But of course, it was a very difficult situation with a lot of people working at the same time, and we have really had also a very safe situation doing that. So I'm really proud of that.
Sounds promising.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for attending, and thank you for watching.